Greetings, everyone. This is Jazz Paladin, appearing today in my capacity as a board game reviewer for Everything Board Games, to meet up with Alex of Dragori Games to discuss my recent experience with Tanares Adventures, as well as their new dungeon crawling adventure, Odalin, a game which has taken quite a lot of inspiration from old video games such as Diablo 2, and is now available on Witchbound. But before we get to this, I would like to first take the time to talk about a game from one of my sponsors, Dragori Games, and their recent game, Witchbound, which has met with resounding success. A few years ago, I had a chance to play this game when it was in the early days of development, and I remember walking away impressed. A solo adventure that tries to capture the magic of old Nintendo games such as Zelda and Earthbound, as well as classic point-and-click adventures on the PC. The game system really made me feel like I was playing an old-school video game, and I walked away wanting to continue to be immersed in this world, which is quite something given that I am not a solo gamer at all, usually. Even though the crowdfunding period has ended, at the time of this post, it's still not too late to pre-order Witchbound. A link can be found in the video description below, and thanks to a partnership with Dragori Games, I can proudly say that there is an official soundtrack for Witchbound now, available for purchase or streaming. That's right, I love the game so much, I felt I had to try to make music that evoked those classic video game memories even more. So I invite you to try out the music for Witchbound while you wait for your copy of the game to come in the mail, or just to see what memories it brings back for you. And now, here is the interview with Dragori Games. Good day, everybody, wherever you are. I'm here with Alex of Dragori Games, Alexandre Aboud, and he has been one of the heads honchos behind the scene developing games like Arena the Contest, which I reviewed a few years ago, more recently Tanares Adventures, and even a new game he's developing, another dungeon crawl in a similar vein called Odalin, I believe. And we're here to talk about basically my experience and review primarily with Tanares Adventures, but going into a little history of the game, and also this is about the future of the company and where the game is going in the future with new endeavors. So welcome, Alex. Good to have you.
Hi, thank you. Nice to meet you, Jazz Paladin. I'm very happy to be here today with you. And let me answer any questions you have. I'll be very happy to answer.
Yeah, sure. And to be just letting everybody know, for the purposes of this interview here, I've actually been in touch with Dragori and Alex for several years now, ever since the very beginning with Arena the Contest. And my history with that was starting as kind of independently. You know, basically, I had no formal association with Dragori then. I just wanted, miniatures that were great for 4E. If anybody has had that struggle, playing with miniatures and Dungeons and Dragons, that is a real pain to deal with sometimes, trying to acquire enough for you to do a campaign or a mission or anything of that nature. So I initially kind of heard about them, seeing their product, and it looked like it was going to be a great set of miniatures, but then also it had a game along with it too. So I figured it's, if the miniatures were not great, if the game wasn't great, at least I'd have a lot of minis at a fraction of the cost it would have cost me for the 4E stuff. So that's how I initially heard about them, and it ended up being a great game too. I know that you are primarily D&D players too, or when you started out this, is that correct?
Yes, we are. We still love playing D&D.
And I guess this is more of an equivalent of 4E. Do you have a preference still between 4E and 5E, or is it both equally enamored?
No, now we prefer 5E because we are more used to, but we played all the editions. Since the second edition, back in the 90s, we already played the D&D and played the third edition. We love it. Then the fourth edition, and then now the fifth edition.
And you also have a new 5th edition rule set too of your Tanares world. That's also being, I think it's on the boats right now, so everybody's going to have a chance to play your games in a 5e style too, which is great.
Yeah, and I think people will be surprised with what we're gonna deliver, because we created some two new classes. that people are enjoying a lot. And many in our source book of the word, many people that are reading, they are really liking because we try to create something useful for dungeon masters. So we always try to put something interesting on each location, organizations, and I think it would be very interesting to see the people when people get the books.
Yeah, and just kind of fanning out a little bit here. This story is really connecting. I mean, there's been basically 3 sets of stories here. Started with Arena of the Contest, which again, it's not just a campaign game. It can also be played PvP, which is one of the reasons I favor it heavily. I gave it originally over a 9 out of 10 rating for my initial review of that one, just because it did so many things well. Whether you could play it as a campaign or as a skirmish. But then when Tanares Adventures came along, a lot of people felt that some of the original campaign material for Arena of the Contest was a little bit lacking. But that meaning that it could need a little bit more upgrades, more customization, and that was part of the reason for you developing the next in the series, which is Tanares Adventures. Is that correct?
Yes, and in Tanares, as we would like to create a great, large campaign with many quests and lots of customizations, of course we need to introduce some other rules and make the game more tactical for the PvE mode. So, of course, Arena is more light than Tanares. So you can just pick up Arena and start playing. You have a short campaign, but you have fun during the campaign. But if we use the same system on Tanares, if you're already on your quest 12, for example, we could not create some good level up and interesting challenges. So we need to put some more interesting parts on the game. So some other rules and some other challenges. So this was the change we made on Tanares.
Yeah, and it really is. I remember looking at the campaign for Tanares, and it just seemed like to address so many of the things that many people I read about had, and it was a similar experience to my own. But now all of a sudden there's world development and city development, and it really added. If anybody felt that something was missing, the good thing about it is it was no longer missing. You found a way to put in, basically a way to get connected to this world even more, which is already very fantastic. I still highly vouch for and recommend anybody who has played the original game for Arena of the Contest. I don't even know if it's available anymore, but your Art and World of Arena of the Contest book was phenomenal. I mean, it just drew me in, sucked me in. But he just took things to a whole nother level in terms of the storytelling and immersion for Tanares. And I guess it kind of brings me to I guess what I'm starting to realize as a reviewer, you actually delivered everything you promised from my standpoint. But then I guess for me in the reviewing this, I kind of find a little bit of an irony for me is that I rated Arena the Contest over a 9 originally, but then Tanares I would ironically rate somehow around an 8.7 or so. And for me it has nothing to do with the game because you delivered everything you promised, but it's actually as a gamer it's forcing me to analyze what are my needs as a gamer now, because this is not anything a culpability on your end, but I'm starting to realize that gamers may be starting to have feelings coming out of games like Gloomhaven or Etherfields, any long campaign games, that might kind of, you're a step in evolving this genre, because I feel like there's so much to be explored still and different ways to do it, and you found a way that works. But now the question comes along is what could have been done to, I guess, help things. And I guess my one personal issue that I found was actually not carried over from Arena very well. You mentioned Arena was a very light game, and I agree. I think for us, for our group in particular, we found that what was disrupted a little bit was the sense of flow. We spent so many times setting up with Tanares Adventures, for example, we had a quest phase and a journey phase, which you didn't necessarily know what dungeon to set up until you finished those. And you spent some time setting that up. And then you finished the dungeon, which took an hour or two, thanks to probably closer to 2 hours, given the new revisions to combat, which is tactically great. But then after that, going on to the city or world phase to develop your city. And sometimes we found that doing all those three things made for such a long experience in our nights that it was hard to do all three of those in one night. So I guess that was probably our main concern or criticism. It's not that you didn't do what you said, but I think it is starting to get to. I mean, it's a world, and you have to take care of it. And I guess that was kind of our main thought on that. And I guess has anybody else shared that kind of experience with you, or was it your?
No. You are correct. When you put other elements and you put more tactics, you put a journal that you really feel that you are playing an RPG because you have choices and you have consequences, especially consequences. I believe whenever you make a choice, when after some questions that you see how it works, you already say, oh, how it will affect my question or the word. And if you play like this, of course it takes more time, because if you present a meaningless choice, for example, okay, you want the red or the blue, and you say just the red and go ahead. But when you put people to think, oh, what will happen if I choose the red? Then we know the time is slower to take decisions, and even if we have the city phase, that it's kind of the Luxify the level up. So on the city phase, you're gonna choose what you improve for your group, and if you play well, the mini game, it's very easy mini game because it's just pay costs, but you can make some strategies to optimize and get more NPCs to help. And if you play well, you're gonna have more improvements. So the city phase is about level up. If then you have your level up, you have your journal that you have to make choices and feel like you are in the world. And then you go to the dungeon and have some tactical challenges on the board. So we know this is a price we pay when we try to present really challenges for people. It's not very quickly when you have to make decisions that matter. So. Yeah. It's a when Arena is lighter than Tanares, so of course it's faster, but you don't have the same tactical possibilities as Tanares. So the more you put possibilities to people, of course the more it should take time. But now we try to improve this on the Ultimate Edition. You see that it's faster to solve. Mm-hmm. It's easier to learn and faster in many situations. And now with our new game, we went any further, so it's even faster on your city phase. There's no city phase, but on your journey, on your camping, that you're not. So we try to improve this, but trying to keep the ditches to make people feel like they are in the world, because I believe this campaign game, it's about this. It's about immersion, that you feel like you are the hero and you are on a world that makes sense, and your choices have consequences. So this is the change we do when you put something. We know some people that are more casual and just want to roll dice quickly, and we could harm a little bit the experience for them.
And in all fairness, too, yes, you're right about some people just wanting to just take a quick way out. I want to summarize that there is a quick way out of some of the story elements, in the quest and Tanares Adventure. We just opted to just do to take the long way, making all these decisions. But I don't want to misrepresent what you've done here, because there was a quick story function just to skip to the good part. If you do it, so that is appreciated, and on my end here. you thought about that in advance. But I guess for me, also one of the big things that I experienced was, you had that world building, and you mentioned the connection to characters, and we definitely felt that in Arena, and it's still there in Tanares. But I think it was felt more through some of the NPCs that you had to work with, as opposed to the whatever characters you might have selected. And I realize this is like a huge undertaking because you have like more than 80 characters to choose from. So I just wish like one of the things that I carried over was some of the storylines from Arena just a little bit more, just because I mean I've been playing some of these characters since the very first base game. I'm attached to them. I don't want to ever I don't ever want them out of my party. But some of these characters have, from the original story, have been dying for a resolution, and it wasn't necessarily handled in this particular. But I'm not saying there's not room for development in the future. But I remember I did feel like I could have used just a little bit more substance to a little bit of some of the characters I'd grown used to.
I have some good news for you. On the Ultimate Edition, we put many parts on the journal that required specific characters, especially the parts related to the story, that you can make intervention with these specific characters. So it was a feedback we got, and we work on that. So when you take a look on the Ultimate Edition, you see that, for example, I cannot spoil, but imagine that there is a character that is related to, I was the secret boss of evil organization. If you do the quest of this evil organization and you have this character, you have a new line of choices that you can do. And even get more gold for your choice. Eventually put an enemy became alive because the enemy knows you. So we introduced these small changes, but I know it would be huge for people that loves the character, and we are very excited to see the people's reaction to these changes.
Yeah, and I need to clarify also, you mentioned the Ultimate Edition of Tanares Adventures. I was playing the original one from the first Kickstarter, so basically the 1.0. So there are changes in development, which is great. There's always, I've appreciated that no matter how many renditions you take, you're always smoothing things out. You're not just leaving it as is. You're taking the time to kind of notice what people observe and, move forward with it. Just elevate it to another level here, which is something that I think a lot of people would appreciate. One of the things I remember you mentioning that it's going to be changed as well is, say, for instance, the characters in Tanares 1.0, they had their own unique abilities from Arena the Contest still, but then a lot of people felt as they leveled up, you still have access to your old character moves, but then you get moves that are so powerful, they're kind of their signature or trademark moves they don't level up in the same way as their other moves do. And one of the things that you've corrected now, which is great, is that now as you progress, you can actually boost their specialty moves, which is something, say, for instance, with Count Blake was one of my favorite. I loved the ability of, say, for instance, kind of teleporting into mist around the room. And it's a great utility move, but then when some of the other moves were overpowering that, it left me with a sense of regret that I couldn't use his old, mist move as much, in favor of more power. But now you've taken steps to kind of rectify that and, throw those back into the equation, which is great.
Yeah. Yes, and we went any further because you have this powerful version of your original attacks that you can get in advanced levels, and even each character has its own unique skill for skill tree. So one of the most powerful skill, you can select an individual skill for the character. So you can even make them feel unique even more. So we try to go in the direction that feedback, because one of the things we really care is the feedback of the players, because we know we can improve the game a lot when you listen to the feedback and try to make things better. So we really think the new experience in playing Tanares Adventure will be much better because we could fix all the problems people pointed, and we could make things more exciting. For example, the envelopes of secret. Now we created this. You don't have any idea that you get when you get these envelopes of secrets, and they are very unusual rewards. So you can expect anything. So we would like to see what people will think when they see what are the rewards or the challenges they can do. So
yeah. For you as a developer, what's been the biggest, I guess, hurdle or biggest challenge that you faced in games that are like Tanares and Arena?
I think Arena was our first game, so of course we were learning how to make a game. We didn't know how to do it professionally, so it was pure passion and less technique.
Yeah.
On Tanares, things changed because we keep our passion, but now we have a monster to create, very big, and we need more people working on the project. So it's not easy to work with many people and put all the same concepts and to everyone, and everyone can create something aligned to the concept. So we really need to talk too much, talk longer meetings to people. It was very fun because people are fun of the team, but it was hard to really set up everything to create a remarkable game. So this was our challenge. The number of things we needed to do, and of course we had COVID and many other problems along the way when we are doing Tanares. But now creating a company that creates professionally creates games, so it took time to set up everything and make things work.
And from what I've seen, your future looks pretty bright and promising. You have a new game that's in development right now and getting ready to launch on Kickstarter soon. It's going to be another dungeon crawl.
It's on Game Found,
It's on good to still less to launch. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that one? What it's called and what the premise is?
It's Odalin Dungeons of Doom. It's a dark desert fantasy game that, of course, we try to take the feeling of the classic dungeon crawlers and put some interesting mechanics on this. Like you can, when you have certain number of power, you can transform yourself in a demon that you made a pact, and of course become much more powerful temporarily. And even for your customization, the demon you choose, you can take attacks and skills from each to create a unique build for your hero. So now you can really customize your hero. Of course, there's dice rolling, there's many tactics you can use, and the drop system is very interesting because you can get items from uncommon, legendary, and even set collections. So whenever you can get an item, it's fun you can expect, let's hope that I can draw something with a good heritage or even my set collection. So we took some interesting feelings that we played it on the other dungeon crawlers, and it's working pretty well on this one. So I believe people will enjoy a lot the new crawler. And of course it's not heavy as Tanares rule-wise, but you could put many GP on tactics and possibilities. So it has less rules, but the same depths to possibilities to tactics. So we are liking the new project.
Yeah, it sounds very intriguing. And one thing that I've noticed about it, when I mentioned this to you earlier, and I have a lot of dungeon crawls. I play this more than any other type. But one thing about Arena and Tanares was the dungeon map is pretty static. You know what you're going to be setting up in advance. It looks like you're going to be taking an approach that's similar to, say, for instance, randomizers like Shadows of Brimstone, where you never know what's going to be around the corner or what's going to be. And that's to me is the epitome of a dungeon crawl where you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yes, this was one of the things we put. Oh, now people will be surprised at the situations. It's not like just there is this new monster that you didn't know who will appear. Now, even on the rooms, you have many rooms. You have special things happening there. So, for example, there is a room with poison gas that you need to open the window to. Until you can open the window, you're gonna take some poison damage. So we put some situations on many rooms. So it's not just you go and you kill the enemies and you're good go to kill another enemies. We try to put some immersive facts that is happening. It's easier, of course. It's not rules, but. It's situations that we believe increase the immersion and feel like you are on a different places, not just killing monsters.
And that's one of the things that I feel like you mastered in Tanares Adventures is what you had like all these. I mean, it's more than 100, I think, different quests or missions you could go on, and it was not just kill every single enemy. Everything really, and I only did. What's amazing is I only did about a third of the total 100 or so. That's because of the choices I made. But like none of those quests really felt the same. There was a totally different objective mechanism. They all had a different mechanism for how you played the scenario out. So it did not get boring, and that's something that I can't say is true of other dungeon crawlers. A lot of them do feel like you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it sounds like you're taking and continuing along this approach of trying to keep everything fresh, so people see the campaign through the end, because it's nothing worse than buying a game and you don't want to finish it.
Yes, we believe it's important to present new challenges for people, and when you say you don't know what happen on the next room, it's not just about which enemies will appear, but what situation will be there. So you need to handle the enemies, but also something else that is happening. Sometimes even now good things that there is some things that you can exploit, put fire on the. You see, you can now use some part of the scenario in your to help you. So we try to create immersive situations, but you can exploit or even have to handle, and this will keep the game fresh, and you can be at your very advanced on the game and be surprised with it. So this is our goal, always been.
And this is the new game for Odalin. I'll be happy to link to this and at the end of this, and also to my previous content reviews of Tanares Adventures and Arena the Contest. Is there anything else that you want to share with us, Alex, before we can wrap up?
As on the new campaign, that we believe you're going to launch in June. So until there, you can follow the campaign and you get a free miniature. And you can take a look. It's a very beautiful miniature. But and of course, you're going to offer painted versions as you did on Tanares, but of the large miniatures. But you can follow and of course, you see what game is there. Maybe there are some games that you feel like you get inspiration to create this one. So you can take a look in the miniatures and the art and see. But I think it's pretty interesting to.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, we'll be happy to share that. Again, this is Everything Board Games, Jazz Paladin, and Alexandre Aboud from Dragori Games. Thank you so much for sharing the time with us, and we look forward to seeing what you have in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Okay, and we will keep everybody informed about what's going on. Thanks again.
Thank you.